With the holidays rapidly approaching, it's time for us to start thinking about who's on our nice list. With that in mind, today I will be demonstrating how to make Play-Doh. If you have children, or if you're a big kid yourself, this is a wonderful idea for cheap gift giving. Now, there will be heat involved, i.e. the stove. So if your children are there, you want to supervise. And children, if you find this recipe, you want to make sure you have your parent permission. Or if they're with you, just helping you along. Nobody wants to get burned. For this project, you'll need salt. Fine grain is the best. It's usually Morton iodized. Just as long as it isn't coarse sea salt, you should be okay. You need cream of tartar, or tartar, however you plan on saying it. Salt, as we previously suggested. Flour. Water, as we have. Vegetable oil. And food coloring. As you can see, these are everyday items that are usually in your kitchen at any given time. The Play-Doh is safe to eat. It's not something that will taste good or you want to eat it, but it will not hurt children if, say, you give it to a 3-year-old and they are tempted to try it. However, cream of tartar, it can be omitted, but if you have the chance to go purchase it, I would definitely recommend that because that's what allows the Play-Doh to last for 6 months or longer. I currently have this saucepan heating at the stove at about a level 2 out of, say, 10. You just want to get it nice and warm. What you want to do first is you want to add your 1 cup of water. Ooh, and we can hear that a little bit. So we'll turn it down. All we want to do is make it warm. And we want to get that salt nice and kind of blended in. So we'll pour our salt in as well. Then we want to pour our 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. I like to pour it right over the saucepan, so if you have any spillage, the saucepan can catch it. And then our cream of tartar. This is also 1 tablespoon. So far in our saucepan, we are heating up 1 cup of water, 1/2 cup of salt, 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, as well as a tablespoon of cream of tartar. Before we begin, we want to add our food coloring as well. I have neon purple in my hand. This is the gel kind. The liquid kind works as well. I chose gel to give it a little thicker consistency just to make sure it had that feel that I wanted it to. Now, you don't have to add a lot, as much as you want. You can continue to add a long time if you'd like. Here I have a baking spatula. This one is not heat resistant, so I'm not worried about it. Something I'm willing to play with. I don't recommend using anything that you really cherish because you never know what could happen. So, here in the pan, we start to stir it just a little bit. You can turn your heat back up if you feel it's necessary. What you want to look for is you want that food coloring to dissolve and you want that salt to dissolve as well. You want it to look like a nice, clean mixture. You can start to see where the vegetable oil obviously separates from the water and it creates a nice little rim. Everything starts to come together nicely. This is a great idea if you have children in school and they have a secret Santa at school, or if they just want to give it to their friends. It's roughly cheap. I think I spent easily less than $20 on this entire project. And with the cream of tartar, since you're only using 1 tablespoon, you have the opportunity to make many batches with it. So you're completely okay. I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit. Dissolve that salt. Make it warm. You don't want it to boil. You just want it to get warm enough that everything creates a nice mixture. Right now, here in my pan, I put neon purple but it's looking rather blue. So we'll see how this turns out. That's also the fun part, is you get to play with colors. It's also a great idea, say if you have a young child around the age of 3 or 4 learning their colors. Granted, you don't want them running the stove, obviously, but if you use the primary colors, you can teach them about color building and help them learn the name of each individual color. It's fun for them and also fun for you. It's a nice family time. Now, it's getting warm. I'm going to let that sit for just a moment. Here I have a wok. You don't have to use your wok if you're rather fond of it. You can use a large bowl. But what you want to do is you want to get this nice and warm and mixed around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour everything into my wok that I have currently in my saucepan. Like so. Keep stirring. It's definitely warm. So we're going to pour it into my wok. Make sure I get all my little bits. And then I'm going to turn the heat down so as not to hurt myself. And then I suggest starting with roughly a cup of flour. You want to mix that in a little bit at a time. And you want to mix it in and knead it like a cake. That's why I'm using this, because it also helps so you can smush it around on the sides, trying to get everything nice and mixed in. At first, it'll kind of look rather doughy, if you will. It'll have particles in it and it'll have chunks. You just want to keep smashing along the sides as you would if you were making icing. Mix it in real nicely. Yes. Keep going and going. And once you feel it's cool enough for your child, then you can allow them to take the flour and knead it in themselves. And once you've kneaded it in like so, you keep going and keep going. Now a little bit more. Just until you get as much as you want. Just fold it in like so. Now, this is what it will begin to look like. But once you've kneaded and kneaded, and by knead, I mean you roll in manually, which, like I said before, parents, you should test it first, because if it's too warm, your child may burn their hands, because this does come straight off the stove. Once we're done, we are left with wonderful Play-Doh. Now, I have prepared this beforehand, and this is the same ingredients I just told you about, but instead of purple, I used green here, obviously, and it's amazing. And if it starts to dry out, a tip, half a teaspoon of vegetable oil, throw it right on your hands, or make a hole in the dough, pour a little bit in, and then knead it back in, and it'll bring the Play-Doh right back to life. I suggest buying Ziploc baggies. It'll help keep your Play-Doh fresh, and you can write whoever's name on it. You can decorate them. Here at the store, not here, but at the store, they have decorative baggies. You can get little plastic bottles. There are so many ideas that you can take this and run with it. And it's so cheap and so much fun to have with your family. Simply just place the Play-Doh in there, stick a bow on it. Merry Christmas. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I plan to use this with my little cousins, and hopefully you'll have fun with your families doing it. Remember, be safe and have a very Merry Christmas.